Dude, your background is sweet.
Thank you, man. It's a little bit of a disaster. So my drum set is typically right there. I
Yeah.
have an electric kit and then an acoustic kit. And I had a session Monday and Tuesday, and so my drums are not here, but the other drums are there, so that's nice.
I see your purple kit in the back. Is that a DW set?
That's it's a Mapex. It's a Mapex
Oh.
Saturn 4.
Oh, cool. Is that what the red Evans heads?
Yes, I use the red Evans heads on that thing, and they sound brutal.
They are, dude. I saw that when I was looking at some of your playthroughs, and I was like, "Oh my god, the purple and red!" I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, it's a fun little combo. Purple
yeah,
and red look good together, you know.
yeah, yeah." It looks smoking, dude. Well, first of all, thank you so much for carving out some time for me, because, man, I know you must be busy not only with the band, but with Christmas coming up and everything.
Oh my gosh.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's
No,
so.
I'm excited, man. It's gonna be fun.
Oh man, so good, dude. So let's just jump into it, man. Thinking back to when you're little Richie on the block and you got your first drum kit.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up, first of all?
So I'm from Houston, Texas,
Okay,
and I'm like born and raised Houston, Texas,
right on.
and I moved to Nashville
Oh,
in 2015. I guess 2016. I've been here for about 5 years,
yeah,
and yeah, Nashville's cool, man. Like it's Texas and Tennessee are very similar, so it was
Oh.
easy to acclimate, and
Yeah.
because it could be weird moving to a completely different place and
Totally.
not knowing very many people and all that.
yeah.
But yeah, so I'm originally from Houston, Texas, and that's my home. Everyone I know is that. Well, mostly everyone I know is still in Texas,
So you
especially
kind of,
family wise.
so you gravitated there. Was it because of the fact that the musicianship is just incredible in the area? Is that
so
why?
So a couple reasons. Firstly, yes, Nashville's music city, and a few reasons actually. This is a really interesting question because I'm very driven and competitive person, and I like to push my limits a lot. And Houston was amazing, and it offered me what it offered me, but like at a certain point, it was difficult to surpass certain levels and get different challenges.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of great stuff happening in Houston, and so many cool people there. But it's just not really known for like the depth of music that Nashville is.
Right.
And Nashville is more than country music, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, there's a lot more than country music here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I moved here because I had a buddy of mine who is in the industry who said, "Hey, you should consider it." I had a couple of guys that I look up to that I kind of asked for their opinion on the idea. I asked him for, not only their opinion on the idea, but like, is this a good time to do it? And
Yeah.
so it was a combination of me seeing that Houston was just not challenging me in the way that I was hoping. And then also I wanted to experience a different venture. And then also knowing that I had some guys that were either here or new people here that were already connected. So I wouldn't be, I didn't have friends necessarily as far as like the people that I lived my life alongside, but
Right.
I was fortunate enough to know some people in town that helped me get somewhat connected, even if it still meant I had to go out and meet people,
Yeah. So you're pretty young then. If we're talking like 5 years ago, you were like 22 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, maybe I had just turned 23. Who knows?
Yeah.
I was around 22, 23 when I moved here.
Wow. So like how old were you when you first got started? Like when did you get your first kit?
I have a picture.
Oh, dude.
I have a picture of me when I was 2 years old or 3 or something like that with a Mickey Mouse drum set. My aunt bought me.
That's awesome.
My aunt bought me a drum set, and my dad used to play drums. My mom still sings, and dude, my dad had this old Pearl Export. Every dad had a Pearl Export. And so there's this picture of me on a Mickey Mouse drum set when I was super young, like 3 years old.
Oh my god!
I have to find it. It's somewhere on my socials.
Oh
And
man!
that's how I started. I started with my dad because he was a drummer, and
Wow.
my dad used to work for a small record label in Houston,
Oh,
and And I was always surrounded by guitarists and bass players and vocalists and all of the stuff, right?
Man.
And so that was my upbringing. I was around music all the time. So I started early on, and it was fun. It's like it's me. It's who I am. You know, it's part of who I am, and it always has been.
Yeah.
That's essentially when I got started.
Yeah.
The journey continues, but you know.
Oh yeah. No, I totally get that. I mean, you're really fortunate to grow up in a house of musicians, because then it's in your blood. It's just part of who you are from day one. When your parents hand that down to you, that's like, you know, you got such a great start. Now, was it like, do you think, because dude, I got to tell you, man, from watching you play, I can't imagine you on any other instrument. You're a drummer. Right. You're totally a drummer.
Yeah.
I was wondering if your dad played the freaking saxophone, you know, would you still be a drummer, you know?
Right.
But
that's interesting. That's funny. I am a drummer. I'm 100% a drummer.
Easily.
That's accurate. Very accurate.
Yeah. I could tell, man. So like in the early days, what were you listening to, man? What were you like cutting your teeth on? What groups were you into in the early age?
Okay, I'm gonna let you in on this is a phenomenal question, because a lot of people don't really think that for me, there's a lot of depth to this question, because what people see is modern Richie, right? So they're like, okay, Richie in Arch Echo, so he must listen to this, and this.
Exactly.
Oh, dude, and get ready for it. Oh, so I grew up with all kinds of my dad used to listen to, or still does, listen to a lot of salsa and merengue, like legendary Latin musicians, you know.
Oh man.
Like I grew up on things like, dude, I grew up on things like Celia Cruz and Buena Vista Social Club, because my dad had a couple songs that he liked from them. Mark Anthony, even though Mark Anthony's a little later on. Luis Miguel, dude. Oh man, you're making me dig in the memories. That's what I grew up on, man. Like,
wow,
that was the stuff playing in my house, you know. And then also I listened to okay. Do you know have you ever heard of a drummer by the name of Alvaro Lopez?
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
So you're familiar with Dave Weckl, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so there's this guy, a Mexican drummer. I don't know what city in Mexico he's from. He's a Mexican drummer by the name of Alvaro Lopez. I'm pretty certain he's from the capital. If not, my memory is completely wrong. And if I'm wrong on that, forgive me, all the Alvaro Lopez fans. But he played for a band called Torre Fuerte, and they are like a fusion. They're a fusion band from like the early 90s, dude. So I didn't know that drummer was that drummer for that band for the longest. I was super young, but I grew up on like fusion. I grew up on like listening to my dad, listening to his music, which is Latin. And I also grew up on a lot of rock and roll. Like, I'm weird, man. I'm weird because people are like, oh, so you must know this band and this band and this band, which are like, think of your quintessential prog bands.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
I don't know them. I don't know, and not that I don't know. And that sounds, man, I'm gonna get crucified on the internet, and it's not like I don't know of them, but dude, I grew up in a completely different sphere. I was listening to like Latin music and whatever music my dad was playing. When I got a little older, I started digging into bands like Linkin Park and Blink-182.
Yeah.
And things like that. And it's funny, man, because this is going to sound bad. Are you ready? But I never studied. I have yet to study Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and Metallica and AC/DC and Rush and Dream Theater. And when I say that, I mean, I'm green. When I say I know, like,
wow.
Okay. What's the, oh, dude, I'm opening up to you right now.
I love it. Bring it, brother.
This is going to sound so bad, and this is going to exist on the internet, but Led Zeppelin, that one song where John Bonham has no drumming in the intro and he does that magical fill that everybody loves.
Coming into it?
Yeah.
Like the music start up and then he has a late intro?
Late intro, yeah. Here, I'm pulling up my. Is it okay if I?
Yeah. Go for it.
So, oh, I'm so dumb. Stairway to Heaven. Dude, I'm gonna get eaten up alive on the internet. I know it. But
oh, dude, that's so freaking awesome.
this gets to a point, right? This gets to a point.
Oh God.
So I'm actually really excited because as an adult, I get to dive into this music not from the mind of a drummer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I get to dive into it from the mind of a songwriter, of a bandmate, of a musician from a different. When I was young, my favorite band of all time,
the
Mars Volta.
Oh,
Okay?
wow.
Mars Volta. All time.
Wow.
And so I was super into the things that I really liked, and my home life was so strange musically because listening to Luis Miguel, but I didn't know Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. Wow.
You know? So, but now I say I give you that entire background to say, as a drummer that plays in a prog metal band, I'm not a prog drummer, and a lot of guys see and hear my playing, and they're like, "Oh, this guy, his favorite drummer is probably Neil Peart." And I got into learning about those guys when I met my bandmates. Dude, man, it's crazy.
I tell you, it's funny that you said that because right before you popped on, I was going to show you this. If you could see this, do you see what that kick drum, that kick head?
Oh yeah, I mean, okay.
So that's Neil's.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, if he mentions Rush, I got to show him this because it's like, my pride.
It's a terrible human.
My pride and joy hanging in there, hanging up on the wall. But like, you're like, I don't know.
Yeah. No. You know what's funny? You're like, oh man, yeah, this guy probably loves Rush and all that. And then here comes this random Hispanic guy who grew up on the most random music. It's funny, man. I feel like two things happened. Two things happened in my upbringing because my wealth of music knowledge is, as far as like the bands that everyone should know, is so shallow.
Wow.
That it allowed me to. The way that I play is a representation of me. I mean, like obviously my drumming influence, but my drumming influences, but that's like wholeheartedly me.
Yeah.
So now it's cool because it's backwards. Now as an adult, whenever I get into these bands, I'll still be me and I won't have to like play to the songs.
Right.
Wow. I'll be able to experience the nostalgia in a very different way.
Wow. I would have never have thought that just based on what I've heard of you and the way that you play. Yeah. I am so totally shocked to hear this because it's like, analyzing what you do, listening to your stuff, I'm like, I don't get a Latin flair at all. So that's not even part of the vocabulary that I'm hearing, even though you've internalized it and you're utilizing it. It comes out in a Richie Martinez way. It's a totally different thing when it actually is coming out and presented to the world. That's super interesting, man. Wow, I know, dude. So like, how did the band come together? How did you end up getting into this band?
Okay, so Arch Echo in and of itself did not exist prior to 2017. The guys all knew each other from school.
Oh, and Berkeley?
Yeah.
They're Berkeley? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. They knew each other from school. And then Adam Bentley, who's an awesome human being.
Yeah.
He moved to Nashville at a similar time frame when I moved to Nashville. And we have a mutual friend a good friend of mine that I grew up with who studied at Berkeley and was in the same class with Adam. And he was like, hey, I have a buddy who like has similar interests. You got to check out his music. And Adam was doing and still does like a solo project stuff. It's called Absently.
Oh.
And I listened to it and I was like, yo, this guy's really good. Yeah. I love what he does. He's a really good songwriter. His songs are catchy. They're fun. And it's someone I can meet in Nashville. And so I met up with, I've told this story a few times actually, because it's like one of the first memories of Nashville for me. So it's like, it's fond in my mind to like know that I met someone very early on that ended up becoming like a really good friend and bandmate.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So Adam moved. here. I moved here. We met up at a coffee shop. We had coffee. We talked about all kinds of stuff. And then he was like, hey, I know some guys that are like trying to write some music and put together a band and all this stuff. And do you want to meet them? And I'm pretty certain we did a Skype call. We did a Skype call, and I met all the guys, and they ended up. So Joe, who plays bass, and he's insane. He, being your quintessential bass player, you gotta vibe with the drummer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You go, if you're looking for a drummer, go to the bass player. Yeah. And so Joe is dude. Oh, this is so great to explain it this way, but Joe is into the Mars Volta and knows their discography really well. Just so happens.
Coincidentally?
Yeah, like wow. That's a band that he know. When I first met Joe and we started learning about each other, and he told me that he knew the Mars Volta, I almost pooped my pants.
Wow,
and I don't wear Depends, so that would have been problematic. And so Joe was like, "Well, let me check this guy out," and which rightfully so. That's what you got to do with a bass player.
Yeah.
And in a good way. Let me see if this guy can hang. He probably sucks.
Yeah, you never know.
And right. And so he looked up a video of me playing like a Mars Volta song. I think it's Wax Simulacra or something. I was super young. And he was like, all right, this is the guy. And yeah, man. So they saw some of my videos, and I, on Instagram and social media, I had like been doing stuff for a while.
Yeah.
And we did a Skype call, and they're like, all right, let's do this thing. And so we started the band, and then we went through the naming process, your typical band stuff. So it started essentially like that. That was the inception of the band, that's like a normal story, Richie. That's such a normal, there's no fireworks and all this crazy stuff. It was just like you met somebody who knew other guys, and then boom, you got together and it actually worked out. Yes. So you're talking about like naming the band. I mean, that's a question that one of my top questions was the name. How did the name come up? What's the story with the name? The name is funny because the name is funny for like 1.5 million reasons. So fun. A lot of fun facts are going to happen here.
Good.
We were initially called Earthshine.
Well, that's one of your tunes. That's the name of one of your tunes, right?
Indeed, that is correct. So we were initially Earthshine, and it turns out that there's another band that exists or something. And they have that name, and so we're super fresh, and obviously we didn't have seniority there. So it's like, well, we don't want to have to deal with it if we ever like get into a thing, or like if the music becomes heard, we don't want like something coming back at us. So we're like, all right, we're not going to be Earthshine. And so we went through this naming process where I pulled it up last weekend, as a matter of fact, a Google Doc of just us typing names.
Bunch of names.
Bunch of really dumb names, man. And somehow, out of all the dumb names, the least dumb one was Arch Echo. And I mean, there's like a meaning behind the name. They're most you'll get a different answer depending who you ask.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
If you ask me, the answer is, well, it was the least dumb name, and we liked it. If you ask one of the other guys, they're going to be like, oh, well, this is what it means because this.
Yeah, they'll get deep on it.
Because like the Google Doc was like, it ended up just being like 3 hours of us just all typing dumb names.
Wow.
Like, I got to pull some up for you.
Wow, man. Yeah, oh God, I'd love to hear some of the ones that didn't make it.
Let's see. So, oh man, they're all nonsensical.
I love it.
It's so funny that the least nonsensical is Arch Echo. So I actually have my drive, my folder here. Let's see if I can find the name ideas. Are you ready for this?
Do it. Let's do this.
I'm gonna hit you with some nonsense.
Hit me with some good ones.
My God, if I did a screen share, your brain would explode. How goofy we are. All right,
dude, you can share. You can.
I'll hit you with like a real serious one that we were considering. And then I'll hit you with a goofy
yeah, for sure.
It all doesn't matter. Hip Dipper was one that we considered,
and that was a song again.
Earthshine ended up being a song. Hip Dipper became a song.
Yep.
One was Color Tone. Color tone. We like colors, clearly.
Okay.
Wow. Color tone.
Interesting.
What else? I'll give you a serious one. Oh, no, that was a serious one. I'll give you a goofy one. Okay. Help with an exclamation point. You know, like help, except with an A. We like to be meme lords. And what was that? Are you familiar with a band called The Contortionist?
I've heard of them. I don't know their music, but yes.
For all of you Contortionist fans out there, at the bottom, the bottom is just a mess of letters. We have one called The Conschmortionist. Shine bright like a diamond. It became nonsense.
Wow.
It became nonsense. And that's what happens when you have a whole bunch of goobers just like trying to make a band. And
exactly.
It's like midnight and you're like, all right, we haven't figured this out yet.
Yeah, we got to have a name by tomorrow, man.
Yeah, exactly. all three people are going to be waiting on us.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it was just the least goofy name, and I mean we really like the name. It's not just because it was the least goofy name. I'm being crazy.
It's a cool sounding name, and it's got a visual thing to it, and an an oral thing to it, and yeah, it's cool. And I gotta
yes, dude.
I gotta
That's
tell
what I'm
you,
talking about right there.
I gotta pump your merch here, brother, because this is a quality shirt. I am not lying. I was like, I got it. And I'm like, I got to get this before my interview with Richie. And I got it in the mail and I put it on. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a nice shirt. It's like, this is really nice.
I'm glad. First of all, thank you. And secondly, we're very picky.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're very
quality.
Picky. We have a team that helps us, create quality merch.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I enjoy wearing our shirts because they're comfortable.
They are really quality stuff, man. I was delightfully surprised, and I was like, now I'm going to wear this more because it's actually a nice damn shirt to wear. So
we all tell each other, it's like, look, band t-shirts always end up becoming pajama shirts. It's like, well, we want some shirts that people are going to like wear on a casual day.
Exactly.
My friends joke with me because of how much I wear my own merch.
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, it's not my fault. It is that it's comfortable. I mean, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh man, that's awesome. That works.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it. It is comfortable. It's fun.
Yeah.
We love going back. We're all really involved in like every aspect of everything.
Good.
And so, we're really on top of like what designs get through and what materials get through. And
well, the quality, I mean, based on the quality of the music, I can see that kind of permeates into everything else that you're doing. If you guys are in charge of this stuff, you're going to keep the same standards with everything else that you do, including your videos, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But everything you guys do is high level, and I appreciate that because I don't know how many of the reaction videos that I've done of you guys that you've seen, but I made a point in at least one of the videos to say these guys work. They work their asses off because you can't do this without a tremendous amount of effort and dedication. And it's obvious for all of you guys, you all have to be working full bore beast mode in order to do what you do. I'm a musician. I know what it takes to do that. And that's incredibly impressive, man. We'll talk more about the music in a little bit. I'll let you get into some of that. But we had, you dropped a comment on the channel, addressing the question about how you guys write songs, because I had mentioned that in the video, and I'd love for you to share that right now of what you had said to me, because I thought that was fascinating how you guys do this.
Yeah, it's a little unconventional in the sense that a lot of people that'll hear the music, they're a little confused as to, wow, there's so much going on. There's no way that they all come up with ideas.
Yeah.
One of the things that we're really happy about is that we're still learning this, but I grew up with bands and musicians sitting together in a room and like fleshing out parts and jamming and just creating music.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately in the modern era, because people typically, you build your roots in a different state and you have your family there, and it's very difficult for everyone to be in the same place, especially 5 dudes.
Oh yeah.
So, we don't all live in the same state or the same city or anything. And so that would be a challenge for most people. Yeah. But we are all very diligent in the sense that we love to create and we all love to be involved. Let me see. I want to be as articulate as I can here. We're all very involved. We're all diligent. Actually, Adam Bentley did an interview. When did he do an interview? He did an interview a couple weeks ago, a couple days ago. No, it released a couple URM podcast, right? And he was essentially saying that nobody wants to be the weakest link. And whenever nobody wants to be the weakest link in the band,
that's awesome.
You put yourself in a position where it's like everyone wants to be deeply involved in the process. Where I'm hard on myself, like really hard on myself. And anyone that knows me knows that.
Yeah.
And
well, I don't even have to know you, and I know that just by what I see. Yeah.
And it's really interesting because writing can be a weird experience. And I say weird now. What are you talking about? You're just coming up with notes. Well, whenever everyone's separate and they're not, together, and you're not in the same room, and you have to work with what you're given. And luckily, we all are apt in very particular areas. I just so happen to be somewhat apt at writing rhythms, and so putting together ideas and putting them on like the Google Drive. I just pulled up the song names from the Google Drive. Yeah. The Google Drive has ideas upon ideas of grooves, and so it allows us to be able to have a place where we can all throw stuff up, and then you pick from there, you write from there. And if you have guys that are already super diligent and they want to work and they want to put in the effort, well, they're gonna run with it, right?
So are you like submitting to the Google Drive like some of your rhythmic ideas and go, hey, I'm going to pop these up. If you want to use them for a song, grab them. Do you also have like, maybe Joey sends you a keyboard part and then you're like, okay, I'm going to lay down rhythm to that, so it works conversely? Or
yes. Okay. In theory, right? Because depending on time crunch and different things, will determine how quickly we have to do that. But we like to be able to bounce ideas off each other. Sometimes there are constraints with time. We have a tour coming up, or we're trying to meet a personal deadline. Yeah, we're not with a label, but we all have personal deadlines.
Oh yeah.
So if that's the case, Adam Bentley actually went to school for drums, so he's really good at programming. And so when he has an idea, well, actually all the guys are good at programming. They understand. So when they have an idea, they're like, hey, what do you think of this? And then they'll send something that's like fleshed out, right? So that there's something supporting. So yeah, sometimes you get something empty. Sometimes you get something with an idea to it. So it all depends. That's why I prefaced by saying we're all still really learning, because there are so many details. There's so many details that are involved in that writing process that every song is like, for example, I just did a session where I did a playthrough of a couple songs, and between song A and song B, they were vastly different songwriting wise. Like, the technical stuff is there and it exists, but it's pretty different ideas that exist.
Wow.
But yeah, essentially, like, I'll send something and they'll send something, and some of it is more fleshed out, some of it is less fleshed out, and everything has very it's very contextual and purposeful.
So it's whatever works, and you find whatever whatever method works for whatever song. You're gonna go with that. The interesting thing that I hear with you in the context of the band is, and I made this comment on one of the videos, is how tightly invested your playing and what you choose to play, how tight it is with what the other instruments are doing. You're not on an island and they're following you. It's like you are another instrument, like the keyboardist is playing a lick, you're playing a lick. I mean that it absolutely blows me away. And I'm going to just geek out on you for a second here, Richie, because I got to tell you, man, because I started off on drums and then I switched to guitar. So I have a little bit of base knowledge of what goes on with drums. Okay. And